Alright, so basically, when you start snowboarding, when you want to start snowboarding, you got to make sure you have the proper equipment. You got to make sure you have a helmet, gloves, jacket, snow pants, and also the correct board. I see some people using some skateboards that, well, I call them skateboards, but they're basically two boards put together, and it seems to work for them, and that's fine. I like to be binded in myself. I like to be binded in, so that's my preference. But when you start snowboarding, you want to start by actually stopping. So I'm going to be on a big hill. I wouldn't recommend you to go on a big hill to start. So just start on a small hill, but you do want to start stopping before you go down. You want to start stopping both ways. You can stop forwards and backwards, and then you can start turning. So okay, so you're basically going to butter the hill. You basically want to butter the hill the whole way down. And in order to butter the hill properly, you actually have to be perpendicular to the hill. So I'm going to go down the hill basically the whole way. My heels are up, my toes are dug in to the hill. So I'm basically stopping the whole way down. If I really want to stop, I can stop. Buttering is you kind of lift up the board at the back, you kind of lift up your heels until you start sliding, and then dig in your toes. So where it's there we go. So you put your heels down, dig in your toes. 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 So if you can do that forwards, that's good. And the beautiful thing about forwards, you always got your hand. You always got your hand there to protect yourself, stop yourself from completely falling down. Now that's backward stopping, which is easier. The harder one is forward. So you probably want to lay on your back, but eventually you can just do a 180. So same principle, but reverse. Instead of lifting up your heels, you're lifting up your toes, and you're digging in your heels. So that's basically how you stop. This is what you want to do. You want to stop forward and backward. This is stopping forward. Now, in order to stop completely, you actually have to dig in your heels. Oh. To actually make a complete stop, you actually got to dig in your heels completely. Just like this. So you bring your toes down, and then dig your heels in. Bring your toes down, dig your heels in. Bring your toes down, dig your heels in. That's how you stop. Now when it comes to turning, you want to do a little manual kind of, and that's how you can stop. So, also another thing I recommend, just to get better controls of your stops, is you actually dig your toes in, and you can actually hop up the hill, just like that. So if you're still falling, if you can't do this, if you're still falling down, then that means you need to practice your stopping. You can also do the penguin walk, where you kind of, that's another good way to practice your stopping. You do want to make sure that you're able to stop before you actually go down the hill. You don't want to hurt somebody else. You don't want to hurt yourself. These boards are really sharp. It's almost like an ice skate. My hands got cut many times, so just to show you a little bit, there you go. So it's just a little cut, but I only touched it a little bit. It can get worse, a lot worse. Just from carrying up your board, a brand new board, without gloves, you'll get little paper cuts. Your hands will bleed. So just make sure you protect yourself accordingly. Make any comments. Let me know if I'm missing anything. If you have any questions, anything else that you need. Again, when it comes to turning, you kind of want to do a nose manual, kind of, sort of, if you want to make a steep turn. and then you can slide your back. So you want to make your front foot, you want to put all your weight on your front foot, and then pivot on that leg, and pivot your back foot which way you want to turn. So just for example, so you lean forward and you pivot. Now when you pivot, you're gonna have your heels up. So you're leaning it's multiple. You're leaning your weight forward, and you're leaning your weight on the tip. So you kind of butter. You're still buttering. Always have it in mind that you're buttering the slope. You're buttering the slope. How do you butter a piece of bread? Do you butter it like, okay, so if my jacket is the bread, do you butter it flat? Okay, maybe I should show you on another surface. That's the only surface I have. So do you butter a piece of bread like this, or on a 45? You put the knife on a 45.
What trees? What trees?
Those trees. You were gonna push those trees.
Oh, no.
You put the knife on a 45-degree angle. That will stop you from ruining the bread. That'll stop you from digging into the bread, and then it'll apply the butter correctly. It's the same thing. You have to think of that way when you're snowboarding. Also, there's a slope. I don't know if you can see the slope. Okay, so right now I am perpendicular to the slope. You might not be able to tell, but so the slope is coming down this way. The slope is coming down this way, and you basically have a T. So if the slope is like this, your board is like this. If the slope is over here, then your board is over here. If the slope is this way, then your board is this way. So if you don't know what perpendicular is, I recommend you do a little geometry. Go online, find out exactly what perpendicular is. If you stay parallel to the slope, you're gonna cruise. So you being perpendicular to the slope will make you parallel with the, I guess you can say, with the horizon. So be safe out there. Do well. Again, any questions, just let me know. You can do minor turns just by digging in your toes if you want to turn. Well, it depends on if you're regular or goofy. If you don't know what that is, you might want to take a look at those definitions online. By digging, if you're going straight down the slope, if you dig in your toes, both of them at the same time, sort of like this, you will turn that way. And if you dig in your heels, sort of like this, you will turn that way. So dig in your toes, you'll turn that way. Dig in your toes, you'll turn that way. Dig in your heels, you're going to turn that way. Okay. Dig in your heels, you're going to turn this way. So that's the lesson for today. Again, any other thing, maybe we'll do jumps next time.